But anyway, let's get started here. We're going to talk to you today about 7 reasons why the medical billing business is a perfect home-based business. And we're also going to talk a little bit about the scalability of the business today throughout the presentation. So we certainly want to be able to answer all of your questions. Well, again, my name is Eric Auger. I'm the Director of Research and Development here at American Business Systems, and certainly can help answer a lot of the questions that are going to come up today on the webinar. First of all, I want to tell you about who we are. American Business Systems is a company that has been around for almost going on 20 years now. Has been in the business of helping others get into the business of medical billing, and started with a server-based type of software, and now it has been led to a web-based software, as you see there here on the screen, with iClaim and the EMRX, which can be reviewed on any platform. And that's big when we're talking about the platforms today, because so many people ask, well, do I have to run this on a PC, or does it have to run on Internet Explorer? We are multi-platform, so it could be PC, Mac, tablets, iPads, it doesn't matter. So we'll get into a little bit more about that today. If you are a first-timer here today, there's a couple of things I'd like to do. First of all, let you know about our website, where you see here it says absystems.com. But also, to also take care of a little bit of housekeeping here, for those that are first-timers, please check that little hand icon up in the right-hand corner. That will indicate to me on my side that you're hearing my voice loud and clear. So I see Robin's hand's already up, and there's Rob. Good to have you this afternoon. Eric, good to see you. Jeff, Derek, Darwin, Bob, Sanjay, good to have you. Tarek, Vincent, good to have you here also this afternoon. So we've got a lot of great people here, and there's even more coming in today. But if you would like to learn more about the business, there's certainly an orange button that's right up here or right down here, which will get you into our virtual brochure. Now, I know that there are some people that have gone through the virtual brochure and gotten up to maybe the opportunity of the getting client sections. But, folks, I certainly want you to know that you can keep going through and learn more about the training and the support and the technology. And then finally, when you're ready to come on board with us, it's those final steps, that last section right there, that you're going to want to go into and learn about how to become an ABS licensee. We are part of one of the largest independent medical billing groups called HBMA, outside of our licensees being part of the nation's largest group of independent medical billers with American Business Systems. Also, ABS has the highest rating possible with the Better Business Bureau, so you might want to go out there and check us out there. And for those that want to come by and visit with us, you're more than welcome to come by our headquarters here at 5751 Kroger Drive, just north of Fort Worth, in a little community called Keller, Texas. Love to have you come out here and visit with us. Well, listen, we're just a few short weeks away from our next training, and this will be the last training of this first quarter. So those that are looking to get things started here and get kicked off the first quarter of this year, you certainly want to get into this next class, February the 25th through March the 1st. I think we'll start talking about maybe how many seats we have available towards the end of the webinar today. But please give us a call here at 866-565-8413 and talk about those dates. Again, for those who have never been on a webinar, for those that have been on the webinar, just be patient with us for a moment. Let me introduce to everyone else Patrick Phillips, who is the CEO and founder of American Business Systems. Not only is he the founder of American Business Systems, but he's also an author of several books. How to Reprogram Yourself for Success is one of his first books that he ever wrote. He also co-authored a book and some other books, but here's one called Wake Up, Live the Life You Love. And then finally the one on the right-hand side called Cash Crunch to Cash Flow, in which he co-authored that with a CPA friend of his. You're certainly want to pay attention about that particular book, because that one has to deal with you and your marketing strategies as an ABS licensee. So, again, without any further ado, let me bring Patrick on the line with us today. Patrick, it's good to have you here today with us.
Thank you, Eric. Appreciate that introduction. And, boy, we got a great crowd here today, don't we? It looks like there's a lot of interest in people wanting to get into their own home-based business. And this happens to be the best there is out there.
Well, we think so. We might be a little biased on that, but
Yeah.
But that's okay. I mean, for we know what's happening in today's economy. So let's kind of talk about a little bit of history lesson here, Patrick. And again, let's kind of talk about some companies that you have educated others that have developed, and let's talk about what's going on with our economy too.
Yeah, it's weird because people are always wondering, of course, should they get into any business in a bad economy? I guess this is a bad economy. I don't know. You couldn't tell that down here really in Texas, could you, Eric? I mean, we got a great economy here in the DFW area, but
right.
In any kind of economy that you can tell, one of the ways you can tell if it's a kind of a bad economy is there's disruption. In other words, it means things are changing. And, man, all you got to do is just look at the headlines to see that things are changing here in America business-wise. And a lot of talk going on about that, even in the president's address last night. And, of course, that just means when there are changes in any area, there are opportunities. And that's a good thing for entrepreneurs because that's what entrepreneurs do. We seize opportunities. That's what makes us entrepreneurs. So, folks, if you're thinking about getting into the business, any kind of business right now, let me give you a little, like Eric said, a little lesson in history here. You've probably heard of these two guys. You may not have known it was two men, but Procter and Gamble, the people who make all the different soaps that are out there and home products, cleaning products. They've been around since 1837, started in Cincinnati, Ohio, these two gentlemen did. And so that, that's a lot longer than we've been around, isn't it, Eric? That kind of looks like you and I, in fact. Look at the pictures there and then look down in the bottom corners there.
There you go.
And then there was General Electric. Everybody's heard of GE, of course. 1890 is when they started up in New Jersey. Ford Motor Company, 1903 in Michigan. Now, there's a reason why I'm showing you all of these different companies. I want you to try to figure out, folks, what do these companies have in common? They all started, as you can see, at different periods of time. There's 1911, IBM, International Business Machines. Then, of course, Walt Disney started the Walt Disney Corporation in 1923. 1933, Toll House Cookies, one of my favorites, started. And then, of course, Hewlett-Packard, again, two gentlemen who started in their garage in Palo Alto, California in 1935. They make all the printers and computers and things that are out there, HP. Burger King, 1953. In fact, I think I went to that one, Eric, when I was a child. I was 4 years old in 1953. Hyatt Hotels and Resorts has been around, surprising when I first saw this, only since 1957, which, again, is a long time ago, but, I mean, relatively, well, to me it's relatively late. 1958 was the very first IHOP restaurant, and, oh, I love this picture here. Have you ever seen this one, Eric, of the Microsoft group? Down there in the bottom left-hand corner is the richest man in the world now, Bill Gates. And so they started in 1975. And then, I think this is the last one, Federal Express in 1998. Now, here's the question. Here's the pop question, folks. After seeing all of these famous companies, which I'm sure you knew, well, basically every one of them, what do all of them have in common? Eric, you can tell them, can't you?
I would think they all started in a down economy.
That's right. It was either a recession or a depression. If you look back at all those dates that I just showed, you'll see that those were times of recessions and depressions in America, folks. And so I'm showing you that because that should be good news to you. If you're thinking about starting a business right now and you're worried because you think we're in some sort of recession, maybe in your part of the world, especially in your part of the country, that's okay. A lot of businesses started in those and became very, very successful. In fact, here's a book I ran across called Prepare to be a Millionaire. 43 different millionaires in 7 different industries tell why they and how they became millionaires. And look at this quote from Dan Newman. He calls himself a medical reimbursement specialist. Eric, I think he stole that from us. Weren't we using that term like 20 years ago?
I don't know, but you know, that's exactly what we are. And I tell you, and I think he made a lot of his capital in a down economy, but you know, and even in a little small rural place in Louisiana, if I can remember where this guy's from.
That's right. That's exactly where he says he lives.
Yeah, and so you know, what I like about this particular business and what he's done is exactly what we're all doing, and that is making money in the medical reimbursement field.
Yeah, he says, I believe over the next decade, so much money will be made in this particular industry, it will blow you away. Well, we're seeing that for ourselves, aren't we, Eric? Because our licensees are signing up more doctors here in the past, say, 3 or 4 years than we've ever seen in our whole history as a company.
Right.
And I think that speaks to the fact that, a lot of people are realizing that, hey, there's a lot of businesses that come and go out there that are built on fads, but this is a pretty solid business, the medical business. It's going to be around, I think, a while.
And while we kind of talk about that, I want to open up the questions early for folks that are wanting to type in some of your questions. We certainly want to hear from you today on maybe why we think that the medical reimbursement field is such a great business, or you've been looking at this business for quite some time. You may have been on. This might be your first webinar today. It may be your 25th webinar to be on here today. So we want you to open up and get some questions going. So while we're waiting for that, Patrick, let's keep going on here.
Yeah, I ran across this quote from a fellow who's the co-founder and CEO of a company called Pareto Systems. I thought this was kind of sums this up. He says, if you're worried about, working for yourself, look at what he says. Working for a traditional corporation has become the risky option. Working for yourself has become the new job security. And that's the truth, Eric. I mean, you don't really have any security in today's world unless you're working for yourself. You could certainly fire yourself, but it would be because you just didn't get up in time,
Right.
Didn't get up early enough or something. And then a lot of people have probably heard of Robert Kiyosaki, best-selling author of Rich Dad, Poor Dad. He says the number one thing now this is a multimillionaire, guys, and he says the number one thing you can do to increase your wealth is to start a part-time business. I mean, Eric, how many of our licensees would you estimate, do start this business part-time versus full-time?
About, if I got my numbers correct, I'd say about half of them start as a part-time business. There's a lot of folks that keep working their 9-to-5 job and then start this particular business part-time, and they grow it over a certain amount of time, and that's all you need to do.
Yeah, so there's that scalability that you mentioned earlier. If a person can start this business in their outside the normal 9-to-5 business hours, which one of our instructors, in fact, who is coming down in February to instruct the new licensees, she started working a full 50-hour-a-week full-time job.
Right.
So if you can do that and build it to where she's built it, by the way, Eric, I haven't shared this with you, but Bonnie has actually built her business to the point where she's actually selling some of her accounts now.
Wow.
Yeah. She's got, so many that, she's selling off some smaller accounts, for example. So anyway, I thought that was interesting that she's built it that big. Okay. Here's another quote from U.S. Senator Olympia Snowe. She says, Americans need to more options to help them provide for their families, and the ability to work from home is an essential means of achieving that goal. So I'm just kind of pointing out that folks, there's no shame in building a business working from your home. Nowadays, gosh, I don't know how many people are working from home now, but it's a huge number. With telecommuting and all that stuff that's out there, you can certainly work it from your home. You could, Eric, if you wanted to, couldn't you?
Absolutely.
You do. Oh, wait a minute, you do. And, I'm actually sitting in my home office right now. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, before we get started with any of these 7 reasons why medical billing is a perfect home business, there's one question that came in from Richard. And this is a great question because, again, this is a question that gets asked a lot. Because if this type of field is growing, like we have said it is, he asked the question, with more licensees coming on board, will that hurt the chances of people coming on now and in the future?
Oh, I love that question because, let's see, we started licensing other people when my wife and I built our business. We started doing medical billing in 1987. And then by 1994, I had developed all the training and materials and marketing materials and so forth to license other people. Well, in 1994, when I started doing that, I had the very same thought Richard, exactly. I thought, well, okay, so we're going to put some other people into this same business that we're in, and since we're here in the Fort Worth, Dallas area, of course, I started licensing other people here in the DFW area, and I thought, well, at some point, there's going to be too many medical billers out there, right? I mean, we can't just continue to add new medical billers. And, of course, as we expanded nationwide, I realized that you really can't even saturate this in one particular market. In the DFW area here, we probably have a dozen licensees over the last 19 years that we've put into this area. But, Eric, there's only, maybe one or two that we know of that are actively out there adding new clients right now.
Right, and it's not just that. It's just again, we're talking, economy of scale here, and we've kind of kicked that word around a little bit. But even if we added 100 licensees just here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, that's just a drop in the bucket compared to all of the doctors that are within the Dallas-Fort Worth metroplex.
Yeah, we have a tool on our website that reminded me, Eric. People probably may have seen this, but on our website, absystems.com, that you mentioned earlier, there's a little tool up there at the top. Forget what the tab says, but if you go there, you can actually put in your zip code, and it will show you the number of medical providers within about a 50-mile radius of your zip code. And I think we did that here for the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and it was like 47,000 medical providers or some huge number. And since the average licensee probably, by the time they get to 5 or 6 doctors, they're making a six-figure income.
Correct. Yeah.
You do the math on that. Really, you would have to have 400 or 500 licensees, wouldn't you?
Right.
To handle all the doctors in this area.
Right. And
so,
if you think about most licensees, they're only going to have, in most cases, to get the income levels that they want to, which we know that most people would like to kind of break through that $100,000 mark. They're only looking to have 4 or 5 doctors to actually do that and get that kind of income. So, I mean, even if you took that, with the 100 doctors that are, 100 licensees that were here, and they got 4 or 5, we're only talking about 4,000 or 5,000 doctors that they're doing billing for, which is a tenth of what everything else is out there. So,
here's another way to think about it, Richard. Let's think in terms of maybe insurance. Okay, in your town, how many insurance agents are there of all the different companies that sell insurance of all different types? Now, how many new offices do you think are opening every day in a metropolitan area like the Dallas-Fort Worth area, for example? Dozens, probably. So now, why can't you saturate that market? Because there are new people constantly being born and reaching a certain age where they need insurance, and that's true of the medical field too.
Right.
There's people dying every day as they get older. There's people being born every day, and in between, there's lots and lots of patients that are seeing doctors out there. So it's hard to saturate a market that's this big. Okay, well, let's move on then. Let's talk about those 7 reasons why medical billing is the perfect home business. Number 1 we came up with, surprisingly, is you can work from anywhere, anytime. And, we mean that literally, don't we, Eric? We've seen the licensees laying out on the beach running their business. We just interviewed Carla Lee Martinez from New Mexico last week, and you remember she said that she had just gotten back recently from a trip to Florida where she was on the beach running her business from her laptop. Now, this is not a picture of Carla Lee. I just found this on the internet, but to illustrate that you can work from anywhere. We had a couple at one time. I don't think they're still doing this, but they were going around the country in an RV like this one here. And with a satellite connection and an internet connection, they literally ran their business as they drove down the road. Anywhere with our system, right, Eric, that you have an internet connection?
Yeah, absolutely, because really all we're needing is just some internet access. That's all we need.
Even if you were on that horrible nightmare of a cruise ship that's out there right now.
I don't know if there's no power. That might be one of those times where you may not get any billing done, but I hear what you're saying.
But I've been on a cruise ship, and you can go to their computer room, or or if you pay for it in your room, you can get Wi-Fi connection. So, yes, you literally could run it from anywhere. When my wife, Linda, and I, this is a picture of us, by the way, back in 1987, when she started doing medical billing, we worked out of our home, and we got it to a point where we were making a six-figure income still working out of our home. So there's no reason why you can't work from anywhere, folks, with the type of technology that we're going to talk about here a little bit later.
Well, the good thing about that, even working from, I mean, we certainly showed some large examples there, whether it's the beach, the RV, and the cruise ship. Not most people are going to be doing that. They're going to be working from home, like you said, like you and Linda did. But that gives you the freedom to not, hopefully you can see the reversal of that. You don't have to have doctors within your own area. So if it gives you the freedom to work from home and from anywhere, that means you can bill for doctors from anywhere.
That's right.
If you are in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, does it mean that you can have a doctor in Chicago or in Florida or vice versa? So that gives you the freedom, and again, that I like that kind of that word that we've been talking about, the scalability of being able to do what you want to from wherever, and whether it's a home office or a brick and mortar place or wherever you want to call it, you can certainly do medical billing just from anywhere.
Yeah, and hey, I want to address that question I saw there from Tariq. He says, so why are only 2 out of 19 actively pursuing business in DFW? Well, that's easy to picture, because remember, we signed up some of those people back in 1994 probably over the years, right? Those people have their clientele that they want to run the size business that they want to run. Remember, folks, not everybody is going to bill this to, like some of our licensees that have over 100 doctors. Most of our licensees, it falls within literally a handful of doctors will make you a six-figure income. So most people never go beyond, that's 5, 6, 7, even 10 doctors, let's say. They will stop adding new clients because they actively do not want to put in more time or manage other people to do the billing for them. So that's why, we only have a couple here that are actually actively marketing. The others are, they're happy with the clients that they have, and they're just not growing. Nothing we can do about that, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's just no, there's no, what do you call them, quotas, I guess, that people have to sign up a certain number of doctors, folks. This is your business. You can make it as big or as small as you want it.
Well, and it also goes into the, like you and I were on with someone that's looking to get in the business just a couple of days ago, and she asked you a question about whether is American Business Systems a franchise or a business opportunity. And again, with a franchise, we have to keep up with everybody, whereas in a business opportunity, everybody's independent. So, Tariq, there may be some people that are so independent that we just don't hear from them also. So these that we know about are the ones that are working very closely with us. They've built their business, and then sometimes at that point we never do hear back from them.
Yeah, that's right. There's no reporting like there is with a franchise. So we don't have licensees that are, calling us up or sending us emails and saying, oh, I signed up another doctor today. Now, we do get reports from our clearinghouse, of course, that tells us when people are signing up. But remember, the system that we're using today, the web-based system called iClaim, we've only had that for about the last 5 years, not the last 19. We had some server-based software at one time, and, of course, we had no record whatsoever of people signing up doctors on that system. So anyway, I just wanted to address that. Yeah. Well, let's go to number 2.
Well, and I'll tell you this, Patrick, this is a great question that Mark has. How will Obamacare affect this business? Talk about that when we get into this second part about medical billing. That's a growth industry.
Oh, yeah. In fact, I've got a couple of pictures here that address Obamacare specifically, Mark. So let's talk about this because there was a magazine. This is the HBMA organization that Eric mentioned earlier that we're members of. We get their magazine, and they said, where is this industry headed? Well, look at this quote from that article. We estimate that the expected growth in the medical industry at just under 6% per year. Now, Eric, what other industry can say that they're growing at 6% per year? That's a huge growth factor.
Right.
In fact, they go ahead and say it's clearly one of the best sectors in a weak economic environment. They even had a chart in there. Here's what it looks like. From 1965 to 2009, that was the data that they had. They said healthcare spending, look at it, folks, that line is going uphill. That's what you want to look for when you start a business, right, Eric? The line needs to be going up, not down.
Right. Right.
And then, of course, when you take – oh, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
Well, when you take the whole revenue cycle and technology market that's out there in billions of dollars, they're saying it's about $73 billion business. The physician medical slice of that pie is about $9 billion, and out of that $9 billion, the office-based physician medical billing is about $4.5 billion. To me, that's such a huge number. Most people can't wrap their brain around that. $4.5 billion. Folks, you just need a little bitty tiny slice of that market to make a fairly good income.
Well, that kind of goes back with Richard's question that he had earlier. With so many licensees coming on board, how's there going to be room for that? $4.5 billion, that's a lot of cash that's out there to go get. So that's also showing the scalability of this business and that there's a lot of room for other folks to get into this business.
Yeah, it's wide open. It really is. In fact, it's bigger now than it was when my wife and I started back in 1987. In fact, the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, you can go on their website, folks, and find that they say that the billing industry, especially in healthcare, is growing. But the actual on-site jobs will be reduced because the billing will be outsourced. Now, here's what that means. Translated, it means that doctors are not going to keep the billing in their own office because it costs too much to hire people to do it inside their office. They are outsourcing to people like you and our other licensees because it's economically more feasible. In fact, we have a quote here from a magazine called Medical Economics. And in that magazine, they say if you and your staff don't know how to submit claims, review EOBs or electronic remittance advice notices, bill secondary insurance, appeal payment denials, and prod the foot-dragging patients, then you need a billing service. Folks, this is a magazine for doctors telling them you need a billing service. What else could you ask for in any business but for authorities like this to be telling the doctors, get your billing outside the office. You don't need to be doing that yourself. And the reason is because you, sitting at home, using your computer, can run that business much more effectively, economically, than a doctor can. Much more, because you are focused, and that's all you do is do the billing for doctors. Here's a study by the Galen Institute that says the healthcare legislation will provide more people with access to care. Now, Mark, this is Obamacare, right? The healthcare legislation. But the challenge is getting enough primary care doctors to meet that patient demand. Why? Because when you look at what's coming up, the Association of American Medical Colleges says there will be a shortage of 150,000 doctors in the next 15 years. That is a huge gap that has to be filled in. Now, why is that good news for us, Eric?
That means that there's going to be a lot of claims to process.
That's right. The doctors that are remaining, that do stay in practice, that don't retire, and that are willing to deal with this maze of, look at this chart I found on the internet. Look at this. I thought it was a joke when I first saw it. This is the healthcare, the new healthcare legislation as pictured by Obama. And as you can see, it's a nightmare. And so some doctors are not going to, they're not going to continue and being doctors. A lot of them are retiring early because of that. Because it's, what is the number? I keep hearing different numbers, but 47 million uninsured Americans. Look at this crowd of people here. This was back when Obama was running in 2008, I think. But look at this crowd. This is only 100,000 people, Eric. Right. We're talking about 47 million people being put into the healthcare system, and that doesn't include the retirees, what they call the baby boomers, that are retiring. Another 10,000 a day of them are getting into the healthcare system. So it just means there'll be lots and lots of claims left for those poor doctors that are faced with seeing all those patients and having to bill for them. It's a headache. It really is.
Well, and that's just not just a graph I mean, I know you've got this picture here, but Patrick, you know, through what we've been able to see and talk with through the research and development team, that the doctors that you've met and the doctors that we've talked with, it truly is a headache, and it's in. They don't know to whether they need to do billing in their office or get it outside their office.
Right.
And that really is the big issue, because they know that they're losing money on both sides. And
they really just need to be educated. That's what
correct.
We teach our licensees to do.
Right.
We teach them in our training classes, folks, to go out and do a practice analysis and find out. You know, if you ask the average doctor, Eric, what do you think it cost you to process an insurance claim in your office? He'd probably say, I don't know, $1 or $2. You know,
right? Well,
in
their mind, they're thinking they're only spending 2 or 3 or 4% of their bottom dollar went to process a claim. Whenever
right.
we've gone in there and shown it to be in the double digits, 10, 15% of what, and our licensees will charge anywhere from 6 to 7% to get that billing done. But again, with what we're able to share with our new licensees to get them up to speed, to get those doctors not having those headaches, that's what we're going to be able to share with you and help you through as a licensee to get that piece of that business that's out there. That business is out there, and that's what we do for you. We educate you, just like hopefully we're doing today on our webinar, is educating you and preparing you to say, is this business good for me? Is it work within where I want it to go? And then talk about, you know, that there is basically no selling that needs to happen. It's more of a education process, even what we're talking about right now.
Yeah, and when I came up with this point here, there's no selling needed. The need is already established. Folks, the need is already established because doctors really don't want to do their own billing. They got into medicine because they love helping patients get well. And that's what their real core competency is. But they're forced to get into the billing because that's they wouldn't get paid otherwise, right? They're dealing with the insurance companies and with Medicare, and to get the money, they've got to be billed. That's just a part of what they do. But what they don't realize is what this Dr. Vern Sharon Wattenko, I can't even pronounce his last name, but he's a best-selling author and a practicing family physician. He says that it costs him about $20 to process a claim in their own office. Now, Eric, our licensees can do a claim, and what do you think the average time it takes to process a claim in our system?
I mean, less than 90 seconds, really.
Yeah, that's what we hear, a minute to a minute and a half, maybe 2 minutes.
Right.
And they certainly don't have to charge $20 for that. So, folks, we could cut that in half. How would you like to do make $10 every time you process a claim that takes you 90 seconds? That's why there's good money in this business for medical billers. But you're saving the doctor, half. You're cutting their cost in half, according to this quote here. Another way to look at that is this chart that we came up with for annual costs for physician billing. Now, look, right up here at the top, it's based on 400 claims a month times 12 months. The average claim, let's say it's about $100 in a doctor's office. If you were even charging 6% of that, folks, you wouldn't be charging but $28,800 for a year to process a doctor's claims. Well, when the doctor keeps it in-house, he's got to pay full-time billing employees. Look, he could spend up to $46,000 just on their salary. That doesn't include the payroll taxes, the workers' comp insurance, the errors and omissions insurance, training costs, leave coverage, employee benefits, and hardware and software and IT support. He could spend up to $65,000 in his office to do the billing there. So, folks, this is why there's no selling. The doctor just needs to be educated as to what his real costs are, and that's what we do when we train you to do that practice analysis.
Well, even if you just took just the first number that you have there, just the salary cost, $46,000, compared to that to 28, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to see that trying to get those same claims out for almost half, just take that number, almost half,
right
there, and then you can certainly show the doctor that there is a benefit and an increase in their cash flow. And that's what we're pushing, is to help you. Let's just make this clear, Patrick. We're not just trying to give a doctor a new mousetrap,
right,
a new piece of software to
No.
make their business do better. It's our licensees that help stop these rejected claims that you're showing here on. And what we're doing, the less rejected claims means more cash flow in that doctor's office.
Yeah, it'd be like going out on the street and handing out $100 bills and saying, "Look, I'm selling these $100 bills. Give me $50. You can have as many as you want." You could probably sell a lot of those, right? That's not what I call selling.
Right.
And that's what we do when we show the doctor this, folks. It's black and white, and they get it. They get it. Then there's the rejected claims. Eric, let's talk about that just for a second.
Right.
Why are claims rejected by the insurance companies?
Well, let's. There's a lot of reasons, and a lot of people, I'm sure, on the call will immediately go, well, because there's probably something wrong with the codes or something like that. But do you realize that almost half of a lot of the claims that get rejected are just due to clerical errors? And when I'm talking about clerical errors, I'm talking about typing the patient's name in incorrectly, or putting in their wrong address, or doing something like that. Will get a claim rejected. And those are some of the most simplest things that our licensees can handle because of the way our software handles that process. You're eliminating.
Look at this number here. Excuse me, from the American Academy of Professional Coders. About a third, Eric, 1/3 of all the claims submitted are rejected. That is a huge pile of money that just sits there in the doctor's office that never gets collected. Here's a real study from one of our licensees. Eric, you know who this is, one of our licensees that did this particular doctor. And really the number that's amazing is this one right here. I don't know if you can see my cursor circling that number, but it's 60%. See it right there in the middle? In other words, the doctor, in this doctor's office, his rejection rate was not 34%, but 60%. That's not that unusual, folks, that we find it way up there. The average is 34%. So, of course, in our system, because of it does check for errors automatically and reduces that rejection rate down to less than 2%, folks. That, I forget what the exact number is, Eric, but it's somewhere right below 2% in our system.
Well,
nationwide.
The better way to kind of say it, we have an acceptance rate of 98.3.
Right.
So
bottom line, this doctor, by outsourcing his billing to this licensee, will increase his income or her income about $500,000. Folks, that's nothing to sneeze at. Even for a doctor, that's a lot of money.
Well,
that's why there's no selling.
Yeah, and here's why what we've been able to see. And we take just the average doctor, Patrick, and do the practice analysis and see where they are, and then run them through this type of matrix. We can literally show nearly anywhere from $75,000 to $100,000 more a year that they can make just by changing some of their processes. So that's why what Patrick's saying here is not so much as selling as it is educating and presenting this as what I like to say, Patrick, almost like a business argument. That, look, I'm going to present to you what you're currently doing, and I'm going to present to you what you could be doing if you just change a few things. And one of those changes would be changing who is doing your billing.
Yeah, and what system they're using, because, again, it goes back to garbage in, garbage out, right? If you've got software that's not checking for those errors, then your rejection rate's going to remain high. Folks, here's one way to look at this. If you were a doctor, and this was you right here, would you have any hesitation at all on signing on the dotted line? Would you at least give the billing company a try? That's all our licensees tell the doctors. Look, just give us a try. If we don't get your rejection rate down, if we don't save you money, not cost you money, but save you money, then you don't have to continue with us. It's just that simple. 69 claims a month. Now, folks, that previous doctor, let me go back to that chart. Look up here. The average claim for this doctor is about $125. Now, I don't have a calculator here close to me, Eric, but 69 claims times $125, that's a pile of money. I can tell you it's $7,500 a month that doctor is just not getting. That's rejected money. Now, some of those claims are refiled and some of them aren't, but the point is it's a headache for the office manager or the billing clerk or whoever's in charge of the billing in the doctor's office. They don't know what to do about it, but the doctor, doesn't really sometimes even know those figures because they don't even know the figures.
Well, Patrick, here's the good thing about risk transfer. I know it's probably the first time you and I have talked about this, but think about it. If the doctor is doing billing in their own office and they've got rejected claims, he still has to pay someone to refile that claim. This is where he's losing money.
Oh, yeah. I hadn't even thought about that.
But if he puts it over to an outsourced billing company, the risk now goes upon the billing company to make sure that claim goes through the first time.
Right, because if it doesn't, they have to work and make sure that it goes through a second time.
Correct.
So I see what you're saying. The doctor has given all the risk over to the outside outsourced billing company to do that. Folks, the good news is that since our system does check for those errors and keeps all of the codes up to date, then that's a big part of the reason why those claims are rejected. Those of you who know about medical codes, garbage in, garbage out, right? And our system catches that for the doctor.
Right. And it catches it before it gets to the payer. And that's one of those things where a lot of people don't understand. That's why we're trying to give a little bit of education, because people are trying to figure out, well, how did your system do things differently than what the doctor's offices aren't already doing? Well, again, it's because what Patrick's been able to do with iClaim and everything that we've been able to take care of that way, folks, that's just the industry that we're in, and this is what we're doing. We're collecting the money. We're doing a much better job, even better job than what a lot of office managers and because Patrick, we do a lot of demos for folks, and we get those office managers on the phone, and we start showing them a demo of the system, and they go, "Wow, I've never seen that before," and I can certainly
right.
see how that's going to increase the doctor's pay.
Yeah, it's like a light bulb goes off over their head when they're watching us showing them how our system is going to increase their revenue, because, folks, that's really what it's all about. Either bottom line, you increase the revenue for the doctor, or you take money away from the doctor, right? So if he's having to pay you a percentage, 6, 7, 8%, let's say you're charging the doctor, he's got to justify that. Well, if you're increasing his revenue by 30%, of course he's saving money. Look, this quote here from the New England Journal of Medicine says doctors are spending 24 cents out of every dollar.
Right.
So on administrative and billing expenses, folks, you can eliminate that and get that down to, like I said, 6 to 8% that you would charge for the doctor.
Right.
Somebody put in here a nice comment. Do you see that? Oh,
go ahead. What's that?
I was just looking at this comment by somebody. They said just brilliant. They just typed the word brilliant, exclamation point.
well, and that's what it gets down to. I mean, a lot of times, Patrick, we've been doing a lot of webinars, and we try to, again, educate people in why is this a good business? Why are there 7 good reasons to have this as a good home business? Well, number one, I love what you've said in the past. It's a clean business. It's a professional business, and it's nothing you have to stock a whole bunch of plasticware in your garage to have to resell at a different
or pills
time.
Or potions or lotions. Yeah.
Or toothpaste or something like that. Folks, this is a good business, and again, hopefully we're transferring over to you the idea of what really makes us different, and then what's going to make you different out there in the marketplace. So is there a market for you? Yes. The market's wide open out there. And again, the doctors love to know that they can just make more money and get out of this rat race of trying to figure out how are they going to get their money going on.
And saving them from being embarrassed by having their picture taken like this lady did. Don't you love that? I found that on Google. Okay, let's talk about those codes just for a second, Eric, because that's important that people realize that is part of the rejection of medical claims, huh?
Well, certainly it is, and the codes are built in the system. Matter of fact, I was really even doing a little bit more due diligence this last week within our EMRX, and I come to find out that the ICD-10 codes, these codes that we're looking at right now, that whenever they're ready to flip the switch, those codes are already in there. And so we are so far ahead of the game on the codes here. And matter of fact, I think I did a demo this last week for a doctor, and was just the way that our system works. It helps the doctor work his workflow or her workflow through that examination, and it's going to give that doctor the suggested codes for them to choose from, not the biller, but the doctor to choose from. And then when he asked, he says, well, what about when the ICD-10 codes come about? And I was able to show him they're already built in here. So the same suggested codes will be given to you just in the ICD-10 format instead of the ICD-9. And he goes, wow, that is a relief. So,
yeah, so
you're not, go ahead.
Well, that just translates into the fact that, yes, no matter what the government comes up with, or the American Medical Association, or the World Health Organization, as they change those codes, we have certified medical coders, folks, that's all they do, is to verify that those codes are accurate in our system. Because let's say the doctor sends you this super bill you're looking at here on the screen, and he gives you this code for extended retina initial exam 92225, all right? And you put that in our system, and that code has been updated. Well, guess what? Our system catches that and tells you that. So even if the doctor is not aware that the code has changed, our system will be aware of that, and you convey that back to the doctor, and that can make a big difference in what the doctor's getting paid, too.
Right. All right, Patrick, we've got just a little over 10 minutes there. Maybe we could at least get to that fourth point here, because we've been kind of talking about the scalability of the business and what this system is going to be able to do. And we've already delved into a little bit of the technology part of it. So let's get into that, and then let's see if while you're getting to there, I'll see if there's any other questions that may have come in here. Let's see. That's a long one. I'll have to read that one out while we get to this fourth section here, because we want to make sure that we at least talk a little bit about the system here, and then discuss about what the technology can do for you and why it's going to be able to keep you and keep this as a home-based business.
Okay, I'm trying to get there. Sorry, I had to escape out here into the editing mode in PowerPoint to get to that. Technology, yes, that is an important, well, we've kind of emphasized that, like you said, throughout the whole webinar, that technology is perfect for a home-based business. Any type of technology that's connected to the internet and lets you work from a computer anywhere. Because like we said earlier, we have used in the past software programs that come on CDs that install on your computer, and all the data resides locally. Well, with ours, it's what's called cloud-based, and it's up there in the cloud, meaning it's stored off-site, which is good for you because if your computer crashes or is stolen or something like that, the data is safe. In fact, somebody asked that question about how safe is cloud-based computing for the HIPAA compliance. Well, folks, our system has been already tested and approved by HIPAA to be safe, so you can be assured that we're very careful with the data. In fact, it's stored on 2 different servers out there, redundant servers in 2 different locations in the United States. These are just screenshots of the technology. If you've not seen our demo of this, guys, you'll be impressed when you see us go through that live with you. But it also runs on the Apple iPad. In fact, it was designed for the iPad, so doctors will absolutely love it. They can also access it on their iPhone, which is kind of like a mini iPad. And, yeah, it's pretty high-tech. It's about as high-tech as it gets, folks. We try to keep up with technology because technology is what doctors are interested in to make sure that they get their money. That's all it boils down to.
And the good thing, while we stay here on the technology part of it, Patrick, what this gives us, again, is the scalability to be able to work from home and not have to run to Timbuktu to get the doctor's software loaded on their computer. Folks,
right.
Because ours is a web-based system, like Patrick has said, it's in the clouds. That's where everything's going to. This allows you to be in your hometown and then have a doctor 200 miles away from you, clear across the country. It doesn't matter.
which many of our, and folks, if you haven't spoken with some of our existing licensees, get with your ABS rep and ask them about that, because we've got licensees that will talk to you that have started their business and they're very successful and they're willing to share their success stories with other people, and some of them have clients all over the United States. There's no territory with this, and there's no limits when you have technology that's cloud-based like this.
Right, because what you would have to do if it was a server-based, you would either have to go out there or hire an IT person to go out there and make sure that the doctor has all the proper equipment, then have that IT person go out there and load it on their computer to make sure it works. The software and the technology that we have gives you that capability again to stay at a home-based business, again, and not just a home-based business, again, like Patrick and I were talking about, selling some plastic tubware from here or toothpaste or anything else like that. Folks, this is a real business that you can do at home. That's the best way to put it.
It's a real business
that you can do at home, not just a home-based business, because that kind of gives us a little bit of a, psychological breakthrough there, hopefully, to be thinking about what we're doing here.
All right. We do have licensees, by the way, who've opened up commercial, they've leased commercial office space. Carla Lee, that we talked to last week, just said she had just opened up an office. But that's unusual. Actually, folks, I'd say probably 90% of our people stay working right out of their home because nobody visits your office. You can work from your office and go visit the doctor in their office. So very flexible. All right, let's get to number 5. No special training or education necessary. Folks, there's lots of courses out there that you can take on medical billing and coding and all that, but you know what? You can get bogged down in that. And that's not necessary because in our live training workshop, we cover everything you need to know, including bringing in the computers and letting you have hands-on experience in our iClaim system, doing medical billing while you're there that week. And then after that, of course, we have ongoing training. We actually have licensees who do some of our training for us through webinars. These are some people, by the way, I show these pictures because I've interviewed all of these people on some of these webinars, and only one of them in this picture has had any background in the medical field whatsoever. So, folks, you don't need what people are saying out there on the internet that you need to know about medical billing. You don't have to take a course that takes a year to get through it. This is not rocket science. We're going to tell you enough in that 140-hour week here in Dallas, all you need to know to be as successful as these people that you see here that are all running full-time medical billing companies now. And we teach you to be a medical revenue cycle manager, like we said earlier, which means not just medical billing, but all the different aspects that there are. How do we teach you that? After that 40-hour week, of course, we have ongoing, continuing educational webinars that you can attend at no cost. That's a part of your license fee, as long as you're billing through American Business Systems iClaim system. You have access to all of our ongoing training. Look at all these topics that are coming up that we're going to be covering with our licensees. So no education necessary other than what we can give you ourselves. All right, number 6, you can make more money than on a regular job. Now, folks, I don't know if you've figured out, but JOB stands for just over broke. And if you're happy with your JOB, please don't quit it. You need to stay with whatever's working for you and giving you the cash flow. But look at these figures. People with a Doctor of Medicine degree, MDs, look at the salaries, folks. $97,000. A typical family physician makes $164,000. Internal medicine doctors, $175,000. Do you know that most of the people I've interviewed on these interviews on webinars make this kind of money? I mean, Carla Lee, 25 years old?
25, 26 years old, yeah.
She'll make six figures this year, folks. Net 6 figures. So this is better money than you can ever imagine. Our iClaim system that you'll be trained on, of course, is the secret, because if you go to our website, again, you'll see a little income potential link up at the top. And you'll notice that first thing there calls Medical Billing Income Calculator. If you fill in some numbers there on our website, you will be able to figure out yourself what kind of money could be made. this showing, for example, that with one doctor seeing 20 patients a day, 5 days a week, and with you just charging 6% of an average claim of $100, you could make, ready? I'm hitting the submit button, $31,000 each year servicing just one medical office. Folks, that's $2,600 a month in monthly revenue. I don't know of any home-based business that's out there that can give you that kind of revenue with one client.
And let's talk real quickly about how long that would take. If you had one client to do billing for, that'll take you about, on average, anywhere from, I'll say, an hour to an hour and a half. So let's round it up to 2 hours a day for 20-something days. That's 40 hours total month, to make extra $100 a month. That's not bad part-time money.
Yeah, and you know what, Eric, the amazing thing is that people ask us, well, why don't you have licensees, a lot of them that have, 50, 60, 70 doctors? It's because they don't need that many. Some people are happy, thrilled. Look, $31,000, that would replace some people's full-time income.
Right.
So that's with one doctor. So, folks, you just have to do the math in your own head. How many doctors do you need? And that doesn't include all the other services that you have to offer through American Business Systems. All of the other things that you see there on our website, those are other services that you can offer to a doctor that solve other cash flow problems for them. Now, you could go get a job in a doctor's office, but as you can see, you'd have to be there 20 years or more to make $27,000 and above. So it just doesn't make sense. All those training things that are out there teaching you how to get a job at a doctor's office, that's peanuts compared to what you can make in your own business, folks. Think big. Think like a business owner.
Yeah, and if you think just real quickly about it, $31,000 with one doctor, that is a quick way to get a return on your investment in 1 year.
Yeah.
So those that are on the call today that understand business and return on investment and the time it takes to get a return on investment, to have that back within that first year is pretty doggone quick.
Yeah, and I threw this last one in here. This is a bonus point, okay? We said 7 reasons. There's actually 8. You don't have to reinvent the wheel, folks. We've done all of the hard lifting for you. Of course, you could start a business on your own, a medical billing business, but you wouldn't have access to all our professionally designed marketing materials and presentation materials like you see here. We've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars designing the marketing materials that help you get clients. Things like this trade show booth that cost us $5,000, a professionally designed website that would cost you over $3,000 to design yourself, a book that you can use to market that we've published that costs thousands of dollars to put together and market, a DVD with testimonials from doctors on it, reports that you are already produced that you can hand to the doctor. These are the kinds of things, folks, that you would spend more, believe me, much more than our licensing fee to do on your own. Even online, on web-based marketing systems like our auto card system. We even teach you how to find and hire and train commissioned sales reps if you want them to go out and get your business. We give you lifetime support. I don't know of any other company that does that. And so anyway, that's some of the things I thought I'd just throw in there as an extra bonus.
Well, Patrick, we are at the top of the hour, and folks, you've been, hopefully, there's been just a few questions that have come in here, and right here at the last, maybe we could grab a couple of these, and while Patrick's putting up the last couple of slides here,
sure.